G'day guys, Will here. Welcome back to the channel. So today is a very exciting day because I'm finally able to talk with you guys about F1 2019. So a lot of you have been asking me questions for a long time now about the beta version, which I've been testing out for a couple of months now, but I haven't been able to talk about it because there's been an embargo from Codemasters basically on the beta version. And as you would have seen when I spoke about the beta version briefly before, there's a very good reason why they don't want us content creators talking about that, because it's not indicative of the experience of the final game. They're testing bugs out, they're testing various different things out, and it would be very unfair to Codemasters for people to then sort of put out reviews based on unfinished software. So all that is gone now. I have a full release copy of F1 2019, a week from the release date, and I have permission to basically go nuts and share as much as I can with you guys leading up to the launch on the 28th of June. So really excited to share this with you guys. Now, what I've been thinking a lot today about exactly how I want to approach this, and obviously there's a lot of stuff to cover with this game, a lot of things that have been improved, and I've actually included a list in the description below from the actual game, the chief developer himself. His name is Gavin Cooper. Got a list on my phone here which you can't see, but I'll include that in the description for you of all the improvements that they've made, all the things that they've added in F1 2019 as opposed to F1 2018. But we'll look at a lot of these things in detail in the video today, but this video is going to be mostly sort of just a top level broad stroke look at the UI, all of the new features that we have now, as well as the graphics, the graphic options, things like that, what the physics feel like, what it's actually like to play this game, and whether it's a big enough improvement over F1 2018 to justify the purchase, which I believe it is straight out of the box. I'll tell you that straight away, but we'll jump in, we'll take a look. Now, I will be doing a lot of videos over the next couple of weeks, looking at a lot of stuff in more detail, so do let me know in the comments if you have anything specific that you'd like to see. I do know a lot of people are wondering about vehicle setups and things like that. One thing that they have removed in this version now is ballast, which a lot of people are going to love, because ballast was a little bit crazy in F1 2018. It allowed you to do some pretty crazy things with the car and made it quite unrealistic. So we're going to be looking at whether setups are relatively similar, whether you can use your F1 2018 setups in 2019, all those kinds of things. So we'll be covering all that stuff in detail over the next couple of weeks. So let me know in the comments if there's anything specific that you want to see. But let's jump in now and take a look at the UI. Then we'll jump on the track, do some laps, give you my impressions, and yeah, we'll check it all out. So let's get started. Okay, so the overall look and feel of the entire UI has changed pretty dramatically over last year's version. I actually really like it. Everything's a lot more accessible than it was previously. I also really like the music that's playing in the background too, but we'll jump in and switch that off for now so that it's not distracting while we're trying to do stuff. So we'll go into settings and audio settings here, audio levels, and we'll turn off the music, or we'll turn it right down at least anyway, so it's nice and quiet for you guys, not too distracting. Okay, so we'll jump back to the main screen of the UI and take a bit of a look around here. So you can see it's the new version here. Lewis Hamilton's got a whole bunch of new body piercings from last year, so it's definitely been updated. But we've got career mode here, which we'll look at in another video in a lot more detail. We've got a news section here as well, where it basically just takes you to the F1 2019 website. They tell you what's going on and things like that. And we also do have an esports section here as well, so you can stay up to date with all the latest news from the esports series. But down here we've got mail. And this is basically just like a interface that tells us, what's going on with the game, gives you any updates, patches, and things like that, I believe, as well. It's not sort of to be confused with the mailbox that you have inside the career mode, but we'll take a look at that a little bit later on. So we've got a little email here, just sort of explaining a couple of little things to us, rewards and mails from multiplayer, trophy mails, all that kind of stuff. We don't need to go into a whole lot of detail there, I don't think, but that is basically like a game inbox. So we go across to calendar. Now, I've got no idea what this is, so I'm sort of experiencing it with you guys for the first time here, but it looks like we've got a calendar of all the official races here, which is pretty cool. So tomorrow is, well, today, so 22nd today, is the qualifying for the French Grand Prix. And then we've got the event tomorrow on the 23rd. And what do we got over here? So we've got scheduled maintenance. Okay, so this is server maintenance. I don't know how server maintenance is going to affect gameplay. I don't know whether it takes the whether it takes multiplayer offline or whether it pulls the whole game down. I did notice when I was playing around with this earlier today that there is a lot of sort of server integration. It doesn't have RaceNet, which a lot of people are going to be really happy with. It doesn't require you to log in to play the game, which I'm really happy about personally. I really am not a big fan of RaceNet, but it does keep on sort of bringing up screens saying that it's communicating with the server. We used to get that wheel in F1 2018 as well, up in the top corner of the screen. It would show up. So anyway, I'm sort of starting to ramble a little bit there, but you can see there's eSport events marked as well. I'm not seeing any in the calendar at the moment, but you can see it down. Oh, there's one there. So we scroll across. The F1 New Balance eSport Series 2019 Pro Draft. So it's cool to have this little calendar here where you can sort of see everything that's going on. So that is a handy little feature. And like I said, everything's nice and accessible from the main screen here. Game options we'll have a look at in more detail in a moment. We've got weekly events as well. We had a similar feature to this in F1 2018 as well. It's kind of like this is where they did the esports drafts and stuff like that as well. But you can see here, a Grand Prix is a multi-stage timed event. Compete against other drivers from all around the world to set the highest score, earn competition points and trophies to commemorate participation in the event. Go next. Grand Prix are split into 2 phases, blah, 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 blah. Practice and qualifying can be done at any time. Bonus completion points can be earned by completing optional practice programs. While you can attempt qualifying a number of times, a penalty is applied for subsequent attempts, so make it count. And we'll skip through this quickly now. Okay, so we've got practice events, qualifying, go to race as well, and information and prizes. So this looks like this is sort of like a weekly event that's sort of run online. So you're competing against other drivers, kind of like a time trial type thing where you're not actually racing each other on the track by the looks of things. But definitely something that we can test out a little bit later on. We'll do a video dedicated to this mode and sort of see exactly what it's all about. But it looks like it could be an interesting sort of thing to keep the game alive for long periods of time. For those that might not be interested in doing league racing, it's a way that we can have little challenges and stuff like that. Similar to what we had in F1 2018 though. Now, another area that we have now is leagues as well. So I'm not expecting there's going to be a whole lot of stuff set in here yet, simply because it's only content creators that have access to the game at the moment. But we can create our own league. We can set up a league character, a league calendar as well. So if we create our own boosted media league, you can set a name, a location, a pattern, you set up colors, and then you can actually set a calendar and everything like that as well, which is going to be really cool. So it's not really anything that you can't already do if you're, if you're setting up a league from scratch in Discord or something like that, but it's cool to sort of have it all in here where you can communicate with people. So let's just quickly have a look at Find a League. And I don't know whether there's going to be any available at the moment, simply because there's not a whole lot of people that are playing this at the moment. But you can see here, you can search for whatever time suits you. On-demand leagues, I'm not sure exactly what an on-demand league is. I'm assuming that's just sort of so you can race whenever, as opposed to needing to participate at a certain time. So lots of options there to explore. And as I said, we'll look into that in more detail in another video later on. Just sort of keep this relatively top level for now so you get an idea of everything that's available in here. We also have F2 as well, and we'll take a little bit of a look at that a bit later on. So before we take a look at game options, I just want to tab across up the top here as well. So we've got a solo mode. So new career in solo mode, take part in the iconic F1 2019 career. Grand Prix mode, so that's where you can set up just a single race. You can do a full practice, qualifying and race. Exactly the same as F1 2018 there. You can set up mini championships as well, so you can have multiple disciplines, things like that. We'll just have a quick look in here quickly now. So we can have invitational events, championships. And if you do have the Legends Edition, you also have access to the Senna versus Prost series as well. So we've got a checkpoint challenge, overtake challenge, pursuit, time attack, and yeah, it just scrolls through over and over again. So that's something else that we can take a better look at later on as well. So moving across to multiplayer, we have weekly events, leagues, ranked and unranked lobbies, as well as LAN as well. So if you're setting up a league on Discord or something like that, you can set up unranked lobbies there. You can participate in ranked lobbies. Now, one thing that they have mentioned in the brief is that they've made a lot of improvements to the ranking system now, the license system, so that you're put in with racers that are, a similar skill level to you, both in terms of their speed, but also in terms of their safety as well. So hopefully it's not going to be quite such a crash fest as F1 2018 was, but we'll definitely take a look at that in a later video. We've got the esports section here as well, where we can learn about what various different events are going on. rules and official hardware, calendar of events, standings, so the series standings. It's really cool to have all of this integrated into the game so you don't have to jump on various different websites to see it all. So customization. Now this is an area that they've changed a lot for F1 2019. So instead of participating in the official cars like we did in F1 2018, where you're sort of limited by the performance of each car. Now there was a mode for equal performance, but what we found is because the wheelbases are a little bit different and things like that between the different cars, the performance of different cars was a little bit different. And one of the really big disadvantages that we had last year was that in time trial mode, the cars were based off the Mercedes. So if you were practicing for a league event in time trial mode, you had to use a Mercedes to get sort of that equal performance in terms of straight line speed. But then the handling was a little bit different between the different cars. So what that meant was that you're practicing in time trial mode to get the speed, but then you jump into a different car and it would actually handle quite significantly differently when you're in your multiplayer race. So it made it very difficult to practice properly for races using exactly the same type of car that you would be racing with in real life. But now we have this multiplayer car. Hopefully it solves that problem. So under standard liveries, we've got a bunch of different skins that we can apply here. Now, it doesn't look like it has the option to create your own skin completely from scratch, at least not in the interface itself. Now, I don't know at this point whether it's going to be relatively easy to reskin a car manually, so like modifying the files, and whether that's going to limit your ability to play online. I'm going to definitely be investigating that in a lot more detail later on. Obviously with F1 2018, the moment you start modifying skins and things like that, you can't compete online anymore because it detects it as a cheat. But it would have been nice to see an interface here where we could apply our own graphics and things like that. But we do have the option to change color schemes. So we've got a bunch of different skins here. Some of them look pretty cool. Lots of various different options here. And we can also change the colors as well. So if we hit F2, we can change our hue, our saturation as well, luminance, all these sorts of things. And I probably haven't picked the best skin to demonstrate this on, but you can see there the car's changing color from black to white. And then we can go and change the hue as well. Change it to more of a blue. So it's pretty cool. I mean, it's nice to be able to change the cars around, but it definitely would be nice to be able to put your own graphics on there, and hopefully that's something that we'll be able to do later on. You can also change the color schemes here as well. So lots of stuff that you can fiddle around with there, and we'll jump back out. We'll discard those changes and go across to premium liveries. So having a look through here, there's a bunch of skins that we can purchase. Don't know how much they cost, and I don't really care, to be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of micro purchases inside games, but it does look like we have a nice skin here for Prost as well as Senna. So I'm going to go with the Senna skin because, as you can see, I'm a massive Senna fan. That is a really nice looking skin as well. So we've got our multiplayer Senna skin. Okay, so driver customization. Let's have a look here. So we can change our profile. That actually looks ridiculously like me. It's the same character that we had in F1 2018 actually, but looks a lot like me. I don't think the channel's quite big enough that they're basing it off me in real life yet, but I know that they have done YouTubers in the past, but we've got a whole bunch of different people here. I haven't come across Brendan Lee yet. Maybe it's just because he's lost so much weight he looks different. Let's see if we can find him in here. Maybe he's one of these. Is that him? Yeah, maybe that's him. I don't know. But anyway, we're going to go with the one that looks like me. We can adjust our country, our name, audio name as well. Now, unfortunately, my name's not in there, but there's a whole bunch of different names you can choose from. No need to go through all that now. Our number as well, we can choose from all the official numbers. And then we can go across to helmet design. So, pretty much the same as F1 2018. There's a bunch of different designs here that you can choose from. A little bit more diverse than it was last time, I think. But we might go with what's going to look good. Yeah, that one will do for now. And then we can also change the hue and saturation, exactly the same as we could with the car as well. We can change all of the various different details there. We also have some premium helmets as well. Actually, I wonder if we have the option to choose a Senna helmet. That would be pretty cool. Yes, we do. Nice. So we got Prost and Senna's helmets. I'm going to go with the Senna helmet, of course. And we go across to suit. So again, pretty much the same deal. Bunch of skins here that we can choose from. Have a look. And we'll go across to premium again. And Senna Classic. Nice. So pretty customizable here. Not a massive improvement over F1 2018, but an improvement nonetheless. We'll go in, we'll choose our center gloves as well. Do we have center gloves? Prost and center. Okay. Cool. So hopefully we are able to actually go in and modify the game files without getting kicked out of multiplayer, but I'll definitely be investigating that later on for you guys. So then we have badges that we can choose here as well. Now, I'm not exactly sure what they do. I'm assuming it's just kind of like a thing that shows up next to your name in the game or something like that. But nonetheless, it's another feature that's there. I'll have to do some more investigation and figure out exactly what that is. Showroom. So details about the various different cars here. So we can go in. This is cool. So W10 chassis, the 2 drivers, transmission and data. A little bit of an explanation about the car. We can hide the UI as well and just sort of have that nice sexy look around the car. Frame rate's not great. I'm assuming it's just the way it's playing the video, but nonetheless, nice little profiles for each of the various different teams there. Cool little feature to have. And then we've also got the same thing as well for the classic cars, which is cool. So we'll just have a quick look through at the classic cars that you actually get access to here. So this is the Legends Edition that I'm looking at. So we've got the old classic Lotus, 76 Ferrari, 76 McLaren, 78 Lotus, 79. And going through here as well. So yes, MP45. That is one that I'm definitely looking forward to driving. We'll definitely check that out in this video, I think. 1990 Ferrari. I think that's probably one of the best sounding cars ever made. 91 McLaren as well. Ooh, the FW14. Nice. 96 model. They don't have the 94 model, I see. No surprises there, but some nice cars in here to choose from, and a good diverse selection from the various different eras. So it's going to be really interesting to investigate these a little bit more throughout the next couple of weeks and sort of see how they handle differently and what sort of experience they have to offer. But that is really cool. And then F2 as well. So let's have a look at the cars that we have here. So I actually know absolutely nothing about Formula 2. I've never watched a race even, which I should probably fix. But nonetheless, these are all the various different cars that we have here as well. Okay, so down to game options. Now, there are a couple of things here that I want to run you through before we hit the track. So controls, vibration, and force feedback. Now, this is something that I know a lot of people were wondering about with the FANATEC wheels specifically, whether they're going to support the multifunction dials. Now, unfortunately, it is the same. From what I can tell so far, it's the same as F1 2018. So you can't use the multifunction dials as a multi-position switch. You can only use it as a rotary encoder, so up or down functions. It doesn't actually remember the function or the position that you're in. So I'll just quickly go down and show you in the menu here. So if we go down to my customized profile here, exactly the same options that we had in F1 2018 for gear up, gear down, steering, and all the usual stuff. Calibration, exactly the same. Vibration and force feedback, again, exactly the same. But slightly disappointingly so, down in MFD shortcuts here, you can see I've got my shortcuts set up for my Stream Deck, again, the same as I had in the previous game. Fuel mix increase I've got set to my thumb encoder for up, decrease down, brake bias up and down with a little toggle switch. And differential increase and decrease with the toggle switch here. ERS is up and down on the left-hand side thumb wheel, but we still don't have an option for the multi-position switches, unfortunately. So that is a little bit disappointing. But sort of as I alluded to when I did the review of the V2 FANATEC wheel, I find that the thumb wheels are generally more useful in that regard anyway. So it's not too much of a problem, but it would have been nice to have had the multifunction dials working. Now, while we're on the subject of the wheel, one thing that I do want to mention, you'll see it a little bit later on, is that if we go to telemetry settings, the FANATEC LEDs for the V2 wheels are actually working now. So the flags and all that sort of stuff are working. The warnings and all those sorts of things are all working on the screen. So all the additional LEDs. So that is really cool. And we'll have a look at that a little bit later on. But as long as you have FANATEC LEDs switched on, it does work. Now, it also does work with the Next Level Racing Motion platform, as you'll see later on as well. But I do have it in F1 2018 Legacy mode for now, just to make that work. But I'm sure that Next Level Racing will come out with an update soon for F1 2019. But for now, it is working straight out of the box, which is really cool, especially considering that I've actually got access to this game a week before it's even released. So it's nice to be able to use it straight away. So let's move down to graphics options now. Now, I know a lot of people have been wondering about VR support. Now, unfortunately, it looks like there still isn't VR support within this game, at least not natively. Now, they may release a patch later on. There's been no talk of it. I haven't been able to sort of get any information out of Codemasters regarding VR support. But if we go into video mode, all the settings are exactly the same as they were, pretty much, give or take a few new settings for DX12. Same as they were in F1 2018. So there's no settings here for VR at this point. Now, with regards to triple monitors as well, unfortunately, we do still have that stretching effect that goes on across the monitors. We don't have proper projection correction like we have in iRacing and games like that. So unfortunately, you are still going to have to deal with that kind of stretch perspective. Now, if you set up your field of view relatively narrow and sort of compensate by moving back the seat position, it's not too bad, and it doesn't really affect the driving because you're mostly looking at the middle screen anyway. But I don't really want to sit here making excuses for Codemasters because I really do feel like it's something that should have been included. Now, I don't know if it's a limitation of the game engine, but look, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say I was disappointed that there isn't proper triple screen support still. It's something that, you know, I guess the mass market, most people aren't going to be playing with triple screen, so it's not going to affect the majority of people that are playing this game. But for people that are really wanting to get into this and, you know, use it in their proper sim setups, it would be nice to add triple monitor support. So hopefully that's something that we'll see a little bit later on. But otherwise, graphics-wise, it's all pretty much the same as we had in F1 2018. As I said before, we do have DirectX 12 now, so we do have a couple of additional settings here. Now, there's no need to go through all of this, but what I will say is that this game is a lot more, I guess, resource-hungry than F1 2018 was, so you will need a higher spec machine to run this at maximum settings. Now, I'm able to get away with medium to high settings with my massive resolution here. I'm running almost 8K resolution, so 10-320 by 1440 resolution across these three screens. And I'm able to get away with sort of medium to high settings at around the sort of 60 to 80 frames per second mark, somewhere around there. Whereas with F1 2018, I was getting a constant 100 frames per second with the same level settings. So just keep that in mind as well, that you are going to need a slightly higher spec machine if you want to run absolute maximum settings. But that said, lower settings still run fine on most gaming machines. But check the specs. I've included them in the description below as well, the minimum specs that are required for this title. So check that out as well. So otherwise, everything else is pretty much exactly the same as it was with F1 2018. We've got Tobii eye tracking here still. We've still got the same camera options for adjusting our perspective. And yeah, so we probably don't really need to go into a whole lot more detail here for now. We can go and hit the track and see how it all handles. So I'm going to start off in a F1 car simply because it's what we're used to. I think it's important to sort of look at how the handling varies between what we have in F1 2019 versus F1 2018. So we'll go into solo mode. We'll set up a Grand Prix. In the modern cars, and I might go with we'll do the Merc because it's what I'm most used to. Advance, we'll do Australia, it's one of my favorites. All right, so we'll set practice session to off. We'll do a one-shot qualifying. We'll just dive straight in the deep end. Okay, so we definitely don't want to have our AI set to 20. That would be ridiculous. So I was doing 108 in F1 2018. So let's see how we go with the same setting in 2019. So gameplay settings, flashbacks we'll just leave on, parc fermé on. We'll do simulation damage, rules and flags are on, corner cutting should be strict. Manual race starts and surface and carcass simulations assists, we'll leave everything absolutely off, including the racing line. And weather, why don't we set it to dynamic so we can get a chance to see what it looks like. All right, so I'll just quickly give you a look at the setup screen as well because I think it's important to have a look at that. But
we're
look at those
just
graphics.
about ready to kick off today's qualifying here in Melbourne.
Crazy.
It's the Australian Grand Prix.
So much better than last year, and this is with the graphics set around sort of medium to high as well. I will show you on single screen with the graphics cranked all the way up as well before we finish the video, just so you get an idea. But I thought for the first drive we'll do it properly with the 3-screen setup. But first of all, jump into car setup here, and you can see the interface is pretty much exactly the same as it was. In fact, in terms, for all intents and purposes, it's exactly the same. It's just the visual design is a little bit different. But if we go under custom setup here and across to here, you can see there's no ballast anymore. So some people will love that, some people will hate that. Personally, I think it's a good thing because ballast allowed for some pretty crazy setups in the past, and kind of, you know, depending on the equipment that you had, you were at a distinct advantage or disadvantage depending. And you know, time trial mode, people were always running crazy high tire pressures or low tire pressures and high ballast numbers to get those crazy fast time trial laps, which don't really translate well into a race sort of scenario. But we're going to start off with a default setup here. I'll do another video later on where we compare F1 2018 setups to 2019. But anyway, enough talk, and let's go out on the track. So, get this happening. I'm getting punchy here with my buttons, forgetting what's what. Okay, there we go. So, go to track. And it's a one-shot qualifying, so it's going to dump us straight into it. You can see straight away the graphics are just completely better than they were in the previous game. A little bit of understeer there, a little bit of a lockup, and you can see the cars sort of floating underneath me. It's honestly is like a completely different game to play. It sounds silly, but you really do have to almost learn from scratch again, like that. The car just spits you out straight away. Let's restart and we'll try again. But like the tiniest little bit of throttle application out of a corner, and it just spits you out. It really is brutal now, which is a good thing because it means that you have to actually learn to drive, and you know, you can't just sort of take advantage of the inadequacies of the physics anymore. You really do have to be careful with your throttle application, modulate your throttle, all that kind of stuff. You also can't do that crazy rapid downshift thing that you used to be able to do to get the compression braking through the turns. And you really do feel when you ride up over the curbs as well, it really does sort of throw the car around a little bit. Now this is actually the first laps that I've done of Melbourne in 2019. I've only done, actually the only track I even did in the beta was Brazil. So, because I was, as I said at the start of the video, I was mostly sort of just testing out the bugs and stuff. I'll just let you have a listen as well because the engine noise is massively improved since the previous version. Really, when you ride up on the curves, it really throws you about now. You feel the car get unsettled. Ran a little bit wide there. Whoop, bit of wheel spin. This is of course with no assist as well. You can see that lighting effect when we head into the sun there. It really flares out on you. There you go again. I think that's where they've made the biggest improvements in terms of graphics, is just the lighting model. Bearing in mind also that this is only set to sort of medium to high graphics as well. We will go in later, crank the graphics all the way up with the single screen setup just to sort of show you what the graphic quality is going to be like if you're running a lower resolution on a higher end machine. But even on medium settings, it still looks pretty good.
Finished, it's time to remind
so I'd assume that we're dead last.
Leclerc, Vettel, and
Where are we? Dead last by 2 seconds.
We'll be back tomorrow.
I think my best lap in the in 2018 was like 123 or something, 123.5 maybe. So this just goes to show how different it is. But anyway, we'll race some AI and see what happens. That's the default setup as well, of course. We're not playing with setups yet. I wouldn't be able to get 123.5 on this with the default setup, I'm sure of that. Just look at those water effects.
Welcome
look
to the Australian
way the waves
Grand Prix
are
in
rippling
Melbourne
through.
for what no doubt will be an intense day of
Really,
racing.
really gone all out with this one. It's so much better. Look, you can even see the little guys sweeping the road there.
With the race minutes away from starting,
Okay.
here's what today's grid rundown.
Keep your eyes open on the run to turn 1 and keep it clean. We want to come out in one piece.
Jeff.
Good luck.
Try to. Okay. All right. Oh, it's pulling to the right. I don't know what the deal is with that. Whoa. Actually, I read somebody reported that in the beta actually, that the car was pulling to the right on the grid. That's definitely a bug there. Hopefully they'll fix that one nice and quick. On the outside here, whoa, on the grass. Try to keep it clean. You really feel those ripple strips now so much better than before. I should have been more aggressive there. Threw away the opportunity, but you see the shiny tyres as well. They got that coating now in 2019.
That start was okay. Now stay alert for threats around you.
Whoa. The graphics are just so much better than they were before. It's off-putting because it's the same graphics engine. Like, it still looks kind of the same, but then it just looks different. It's funny. The other thing I've got to show as well, you'll see that the UI is not visible on the screen in the middle at the moment, the user interface sort of HUD items. I'll show you how you move them in a moment, because that's actually really cool how you can move. Whoa, got an accident. Drive around the outside of them here.
Great maneuver. You made it look easy.
Oh, he's still on my outside. See if we can dart up the inside here. Engine noise is just so much better. I think this is... I mean, I've played every single Formula 1 game since 2010. And this is the biggest leap forward that they've had from year to year. It feels like it's sort of revolutionary rather than evolutionary, if that makes sense. It's kind of like the new iPhone as opposed to an iPhone S. But no, they've definitely gone all out this time. They've really made... Whoa! Didn't realise he was on my outside there. We got damage? Yeah, we got a stuffed wing. Well, that's a good opportunity to show you the HUD adjustment, actually. We'll do that now, I think. I didn't realise he was up my outside there. I was a little bit aggressive from the AI, but, I mean, they seem to get out of the way reasonably well. One of the things that we found with F1 2018 is that you could always kind of, if you dive bomb them, but you kind of put your wheel on the inside of their car, they pretty much always get out of the way. So it's going to be interesting when we start to get into career mode to see just how much more intelligent the AI is. But we'll go into the HUD settings quickly here now. On-screen display, OSD, customization. So you can see all the various different elements. You might have to look above my head on the wider screen here to see it. But these little elements here you can actually move around. So we enter that one and then we select the next one, which is the one over here. And we can actually just tab it across. It takes a little while to do it, but you only need to really do it once, which is cool. So if you're running triple screens like I am, you can move everything around. You can get it in the position that you want. I mean, even if you're running a single screen, you can still move stuff, but it's most useful on a triple screen setup because it means that you don't have to stuff around with all this stuff all over the place, and you can actually see what you're doing. So we'll move this one across as well. All right, so now we've got everything nicely presented in the middle of the screen. Actually, you can see there the flag LEDs are working as well. So that's what I was talking about before. When there's a yellow flag, you can see we've got the yellow flag there as well. I went for the gear stick. And once the yellow's clear, that should change. Well, actually, we'll come into the pits. I'll show you that as well. I'll drive into the pits because I've got a busted front wing anyway, as you can see by my understeering. 60 km/h, and you'll see on the dash here, the lights should start flashing. Although they may not. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so you can see there I'm in pit mode. The pit animation is a lot better too. Oh, I've got that weird steering wheel pulling to the right thing going on again. Not sure what that is, but they're going to have to fix that because people with direct drive wheels, that could actually be dangerous. It really yanks you to the right. You're not expecting it. So if you have a direct drive wheel, just watch out for that one. I can't disengage my pit limiter now, can I? Alright, well, we'll get that sorted out. We'll come back in and I'll show you a different track quickly as well. Alright, so let's have a quick look at F2 now, I think. We'll see what that is like. I've never done F2 cars before, so it's going to be completely fresh and new to me, but we'll see what happens. So we've got F2. Now, it's the 2018 season for F2, and it's kind of like a gateway So the idea is you start off in F2, then you do some qualifications, then you get offered a drive in F1, and you kind of move on forward there. So it's not really, the game's not really about F2, it's about F1, but you kind of use F2 as a gateway in. So it'll be interesting to see whether they kind of elaborate on that later on. But that's not to say that you can't do a full season of F2 if you want to. But anyway, we'll jump in. So we'll do this, and then we'll do some classic cars as well. We'll give the MP45 a try. Then I'll switch to single screen, show you what the graphics are like. We'll look at photography mode as well. And I think that'll probably be enough as a general overview video. Oh, look at that. It's really, like, it looks like it's only mapped the circuit, but really Bahrain does look like that genuinely. It's kind of got the desert and then the track and then the desert. It's so slow. I also can't see where I'm going past the halo, but that won't matter anyway because I'm probably going to crash anyway. Brake here. Oh, we made the corner. It's so slow. It should make for some good racing though. Whoa, understeer city again. The lighting effects are really spectacular though. I mean, remembering again that this is only on medium graphics at the moment. Oh, it understeers so much. And oversteers so much. I feel like I probably should have the racing line on for this because it's not a car I've ever driven before, but we'll throw ourselves in the deep end. DRS active. It doesn't punish you quite as hard as the F1 cars do. I can imagine that getting to know these cars and really driving them on the edge would be quite rewarding. Whoops, as I crash. Alright, we'll try one more lap. See if we can get around. But the handling is definitely very different to the F1 car. So it's not like this is something that they've just kind of chucked in with a different skin and made it go a little bit slower. They've obviously put some effort into modeling this, which is great. I mean, for me, like, I'm only really interested in Formula 1, but for those that I know are excited about this, I thought it was important to include it in the video. So we'll try one more lap. These lighting effects are really good though. Okay, we don't get another lap, of course, because we're in one-shot qualifying. I was thinking we were in time trial.
So qualifying is
complete,
and
we'll try the
we're
start
all
of the
set
race.
for an exciting
See
race
what
tomorrow.
happens. It's just in the middle of
Hello and
nowhere.
welcome from the Bahrain International Circuit here in Sakhir. Down on the grid, the engineers are making their last checks, and today's race will be underway shortly.
Now that's cool that they've got the commentators from the F2 series as well as the F1.
With that then, let's
little
run
touches
through
like that that I love
a
about the
fantastic
Codemasters
effort
games,
from
and you
Lando
just
Norris
don't
yesterday,
get that
puts him
in
on pole
any other
position, and it's
title. Like, I mean, I know
George
there's
Russell
skins
in Q2.
available for
Looking
Formula
down the
1
rest
for a
of the
set of
grid, we
course and
have
stuff,
De
but
Vries, Cuoco,
there's just
Lucas
something
Diot,
cool
and
about having all the official graphics, all the official liveries, the real commentators. It really sort of, it pulls you into the story. I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into career mode because of that, basically. It really sort of, you know, you don't feel like you're a Formula 1 driver, but it's just cool to have that extra level of immersion. Anyway, oh, it's pulling to the right again. Right. It's so slow. Oh, we got 5 wide into turn 1. Whoop. This is going to be interesting. Whoop. Brake a little bit late there. I have no idea what I'm doing with these cars. It just bites you if you get on the throttle too early. It just wants to kick you out the other side. Again there, just oversteer. they're really slow. I don't know if the AI reset itself to 20 or something for F2 maybe. If it's still at 108, they're slow because I'm absolutely useless here. I've got no idea what I'm doing, no idea where my braking markers are or anything, and I'm keeping up with them, but it's fun though. Like, it's not so slow that it's boring, and I found that with iRacing as well. Like, my initial impression of iRacing when I did the MX-5s was, oh, this is slow and boring, but once you learn to drive the cars on the edge, it's really rewarding and you don't notice the lack of speed. And I feel like for people that are new to the F1 series games, this is a really good starting point because it's not quite so brutal. You can already see I'm learning to control those slides a little bit more. I'm modulating my throttle a little bit better. So it kind of doesn't take too long to get used to it. Obviously I'm not fast, but at least I'm not sliding all over the place like I was a lap ago. So he says as he understeers around the corner. Sliding. It's just so much more realistic in the handling model, especially with no assist. So I've driven with no assists now for about 6 months, so I'm pretty used to it, but it always felt like it was kind of just not quite there. Like, it's still, you could get pretty much flat on the gas out of a corner and it wouldn't really do much as long as you kind of were consistent with it. But now it's like every little bump, every curb, all those little things all contribute. Really have to feather the throttle around that kind of thing. I know I keep harping on about it, but it really is a significant step from F1 2018. Let's see if we can get this guy. We're in DRS range this time. We've got DRS now because it's lap 3. Whoops, too late. Alright, let's have a look at the classic cars, I think. Alright, so classic mode. We'll do it in time trial mode, and I think it looks like the MP45 is locked until you complete any 3 of the Senna vs. Prost Invitational events, assuming that you already have the Legend version of the game. So we'll actually do the MP44. That'll do for now. And what track should we do? I reckon we should probably do Monza. Actually, let's do Japan. Let's do Japan, Suzuka. That's a bit of a classic. Should probably change wheels as well, actually. We'll do that quickly as well. So we've got the right type of wheel. Hopefully it works without having to recalibrate. Alright. Chuck that on, make sure it's in the right setting. Okay, let's go. Whoa, it's fast. Whoa, it's fast after that F2. Straight through the chicane. Oh. Wow. Okay, let's try that again. Restart lap. I'm probably cheating doing paddle shifts here, but I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. I've probably already bitten off more than I can chew just by driving this car, but... Whoa! Oh boy, it's so fast. Especially after those F2s. I've got no idea where my braking markers should be, but... Whoa! Oh. I might actually turn on the racing line for this, I think, just because I've got no idea when it comes to these cars. Let's turn on the... Yeah, we'll do corners only and try again. Alright. Restart lap. Oh, I don't know what's going on there. Alright, braking. You hear the turbo, you can hear the blow-off valve or the wastegate when you lift off. That's cool. They really have made some massive advancements with the sound quality in this game. Topping out 6th gear down the straight. Oh, I don't know about braking there. Oh, apparently we can. I'm just going to shut up for a bit so you can listen to it. Whoa. Put a wheel on the ripple strip and just spin. Whoa. It really does give you the sensation of the turbo kicking in. That's cool. It's like when the boost kicks in, it just skirts out on you. Amazing to think that they actually drove these cars in real life at those speeds. It's just nuts. Oh, I feel the bump there. That's cool. One of the things I haven't really talked about much is the force feedback and the improvements that they've made there, but they definitely have made some improvements. You feel the rumble strips through the wheel a lot cleaner than you did before. And I haven't done any calibration or anything like that yet. Everything's exactly as it was for F1 2018, but definitely feels better. Just the forces that you feel tugging against you as you turn through, all those kinds of things are just that little bit better than they were before. It's not a massive amount, but it's obvious that they've actually spent some time on it. It's not like it's just reskin, new cars, new tracks, new game. They've really put some effort in this time, which is awesome. So, right, we'll do one more lap. Oh, boost kicking in. Lucky to catch that one. Oh man, I wish that they still drove these cars. I mean, obviously the safety aspect has been improved a lot and that's important, but I wish they still had real engines in the Formula 1 cars. This is awesome. This is probably the most fun I've had yet, I think. With this game, it's just the way the car just wants to break away from you under acceleration. I really should be using the sequential shifter on my the left-hand side there, but I know I'd crash if I did. Alright, we'll just finish this lap and then we'll go to single screen mode, turn the graphics up, and give you a real good idea of just how good the graphics are now. Whoa. Lost it. There it goes. Oh! It's kind of funny being in this car in this spot. This is where it all went to shambles for Senna back in the day. All right, let's switch to single screen and yeah, check it out. All right, so we'll get these graphics cranked up. Might not be able to get away with absolute maximum, but we'll see what we can do. And I'll run you through, actually what I'll do is I'll run you through benchmark mode so you can get an idea of exactly what the graphics look like from various different perspectives as well, because I think that's important. Confirm the changes there, accept, and then we'll go advanced setup, and crank everything up here to ultra high. Go switch on our SSRT shadows, geometry culling on as well. Start off with everything on. Actually, we'll crank our ambient occlusion up as well. So that is everything absolute maximum. So let's go benchmark mode and see what it looks like. We'll do, actually, why don't we do Azerbaijan? That's a good one. It's got lots of scenery and things like that. We'll do clear weather. And we'll do cycle. Yeah, we'll have a look at the FPS as well, just to give you an idea. So I'm running an 8086K processor here, overclocked to 5.2 gigahertz with a 1080 Ti, overclocked to 2 gigahertz and 32 gig of 3400 megahertz RAM. So pretty high-end machine from about sort of 18 months ago now. I'm going to be building another machine to run the simulator exclusively so I can record at better frame rates and things like that, because I'm still having a few issues there once we move into the studio, which I talked about earlier in the week. But let's have a look here at the graphics. See what we get with things cranked all the way up. So still getting 75 frames per second with a full grid. That's pretty respectable with the settings absolutely maxed out. It's a pretty fair performance at 3440 by 1440 resolution. Can't really complain about that. And just look at those graphics, absolutely stunning. We'll go in, we'll have a look at the photography mode in a minute as well. It's funny, this seat's still moving even though we're in benchmark mode here. Give us a different view. I think it's just cycling through all the different views. It's just such a massive improvement over last year. Such a step up. All right, through the castle section now. This will be interesting. Look at that lighting. Alright, we'll jump out again and have a quick look at replay view as well, because it didn't seem to be actually showing us replay view there. Everything just looks so slick. The defocus effect that they've got in there now is really cool. It's so weird having the chair move. Yeah, I mean, that anti-aliasing's still not absolutely perfect. You still get that kind of weird reflection thing going on, but the quality of those graphics is absolutely amazing. You really would have a hard time picking that from reality if you just glanced at it, honestly. Look at that shine on the tyres too. Well done, Codemasters, I gotta say. You guys, I wouldn't say you've nailed it, but you're coming very, very, very close. Alright, so we'll hit the track again in this single screen configuration with the graphics turned all the way up, and we'll actually have a little look in photography mode as well, just to see what kind of graphics we can get there as well. And then I think we'll probably wrap it up at that for this video. We'll definitely be diving into some other stuff in more detail at a later time, but I think this should be good for now. Look at that.
Based in the magnificent Ardennes countryside, Spa hosted its first Grand Prix back in 1925. This historic track is loved by drivers and fans alike.
Okay, so we've made some adjustments to our field of view so we can actually see where we're going. Now, it's been a long time since I've driven with a field of view like this, so there's that steering wheel glitch again. Oh, if that was a direct drive wheel, that would tear your arms off. Whoa, 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 whoa! We'll go through our rouge here and we'll pause it. The graphics are absolutely nuts. I'm going to have to build that new computer now because I'm missing out massively. Okay, so let's go to replay. Yeah, I'm missing out massively. The difference between those maximum graphics and what I'm having to run to get the triple screens working is just huge. I didn't realize until I jumped in this mode. Just look how good those graphics look. Absolutely awesome. Alright, so pause it. We'll pause it there. Okay, so I've got my PS3 controller plugged in here so we can move around and do photography things. Yeah, about there's good. And then we'll go into photography mode. So options. Okay, we'll swing around the car. Look at that. Wow. That is beautiful. such a huge improvement over 2018. Just the lighting effects, I think it is. And look at the reflection of the sun on the tire there. Just awesome. All right, we'll get that going. And then we'll go across and we'll go depth of field mode on. Change our f-stop down to a lower number as well. Get our autofocus happening here. So we'll change the time of day as well. Make it like a make it evening or something like that. So we're going to put the vignette on. Time of day. Let's make it afternoon. Sunset. Yeah. Clear weather. Yeah. I don't know. Vignette on or off. Yeah, we'll go on. Look at that. You can barely tell the difference between that and reality. Honestly, that is nuts. Fly over. Look at that detail. Look at the detail in the wheel there as well. Fantastic. Swing around here. The sky. There's all the sparks on the road behind me as well. That's really cool, just being able to zoom in like that. We just go whizzing towards the car. Cool. And you get the idea. That's just crazy good graphics. All right, we might do a little bit more driving, I think. We'll unplug this controller again. Do a little bit more driving. Give you a bit of a better idea of what the graphics look like on a single screen with them cranked all the way up. And then I think we'll call it a day. All right, see what we can do this time. Oh, jeez. They've got to fix that glitch. That's dangerous. If you had a direct drive wheel, that could actually hurt you. Not a good start. Swarmed. Dive bomb. Down the inside. Alright. Car on our outside here. This is going to get hairy through a rouge. We might tuck him behind him, I think. Whoa! Oh!
Let me know you're okay.
Well, there you go. That's what happens when you DNF. I'll try once more. Flashback. Lando Norris up our ass here. Brake at the 100-meter mark. Oh, it's actually meant to be the 50-meter mark for that turn, isn't it? Oh, drifting.
That was a bad start, but don't
Even Kubica's ahead of me. That can't happen. What's Kubica doing? I thought this game was supposed to be realistic. What's going on, Cody's? We can't be beaten by Kubica. We're going to have to do this until we beat him. Don't know where to brake. 100 meters will do. What? Neutral. That wasn't so bad. That could have been worse. the steer. Oh, no. Don't think we got any damage, but we certainly
Okay, clear.
not gonna catch you pizza now. Starting to get the feel for it now. As I crashed. Starting to get the feel for it now. Bang.
Engine off.
Alright, I think we'll call it a day. Okay, guys, so look, I mean, it's not the perfect game. I'm not going to pretend that it is. It would be really nice if they could fix the lack of VR support, the triple screen support, obviously that bug where you're starting a race as well and the steering starts pulling to the right, because that's, you know, that's quite dangerous for people that have direct drive wheels, but I'm sure they'll get it sorted out quickly. But I mean, look, overall, there's still so many things to explore in this title. I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into multiplayer, you know, seeing how the glitches and stuff that we've had in the past have been sorted out there, really challenging against AI and seeing whether the old problem of kind of putting your wheel on the inside and having them just get out of the way every single time is fixed. There's so many things to explore. You know, all the league racing, all that stuff. But hopefully this video has been a good overview for you guys, so you have a rough idea of what you can expect out of this game as an out-of-the-box kind of experience. So stick around, we're going to have a bunch more content over the course of the next couple of weeks. It's going to be a little bit disjointed because I am hopefully going to be moving into my studio this week as well. Doing another update about that in the next couple of days, so stick around for that. But yeah, guys, let me know in the comments if there's anything else that you'd like to see. Obviously, I'm going to go into a bunch of detail on this game. I'm going to be doing career mode races as well, so lots of stuff to come. I also just want to quickly encourage you guys to join our Discord community as well. We've got a great bunch of guys and girls there that are all well into their sim racing, all into their PC mods, basically just talking about geeky stuff and yeah, geeking out over this kind of thing. So really great community there. Jump in. We're also going to be doing some subscriber races there soon too as well. So check that out. Link is in the description below. But thank you very much for watching. As always, hit the thumbs up if you liked the video. Hit the subscribe button and of course the notification bell as well so you don't miss the next one. And I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.